Mic check 1 2 1 2. It's the Y2K collector, and there are three reasons why you will more than likely feel depressed once you turn 30. And this is very relevant to those of us who grow up playing video games and, still enjoy video games into our 20s and 30s. The first reason that you feel so depressed when you immediately turn 30 is because it feels like it just hit you out of nowhere. Your 20s go by so fast, especially when you're having fun. If you have, your teen years filled obviously with partially high school, you spend a good chunk of your teens in high school, in grade school, and then probably in college. And so your teens and at least the first, third of your 20s is probably going to be spent doing what most college and high school kids do, hanging out with your friends, playing video games, um, just doing the normal thing. And 30 seems so far away, especially even when you're 25. It just doesn't seem like it's something that's going to catch up to you that fast. But time moves so quickly that before you blink, you're 30. And, now you're at this age where life all of a sudden becomes real. And if you never took um, the steps to prepare yourself for what being in your 30s actually means, um, when you get there, you are going to feel very unprepared. And that leads me into the second reason why people feel very depressed when they hit 30 is because they realize how unprepared for life they are most times. Um, Now, your 20s is really the years when you're supposed to be making all of your mistakes. And I think when people hear that, they think like that's when they should be making just bad decisions. No, that's not necessarily what making mistakes means in your 20s. In your 20s, are you going to make mistakes? Yeah, you're going to make mistakes in relationships. You're going to make financial mistakes. You're going to make, life decisions that are bad. But the whole purpose of those is to learn from them and gain the experience needed to be able to better maneuver and navigate through life in your 30s. But what happens is a lot of people look at their 20s as a decade of just getting a free pass to just do, for lack of better words, dumb things with no consequences. And I say with no consequences because when you're in your 20s, a lot of times you're still going to be getting parental support. You qualify for maybe more uh, aids. Like if you're in college, maybe you're getting financial aid, maybe you're getting FAFSA. There's just, it's a younger phase of life. So you don't necessarily feel that responsibility. And so a lot of the mistakes that people often make in their 20s, they don't take the time to learn from them so that they can use that experience to better navigate their 30s. So they spend all this time in their 20s, horsing around, dating around, um, playing video games, you know, just partying, clubbing, doing the whole nine yards. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that. But in the midst of doing all those things, you are going to make mistakes. And if you're not taking the time to learn about yourself and learn about other people and learn about how you interact with the world and learning how to navigate your world in the most productive way, when 30 hits, it's just like a bomb goes off, and now you realize that you're responsible for so many things that you just are not prepared for, and you never took the time to prepare yourself to deal with them. And so that can be an extremely depressing feeling because when you hit 30 and you realize you're not prepared, you also realize that 9 times out of 10, no one is coming to save you. And that leads me to the third reason why I feel like a lot of times people are very depressed when they hit 30 is because when you hit 30, you realize that you are fully responsible for your own life. At 30, by most societal standards, the expectation for someone to take care of you in your 30s is non-existent. By the time you hit 30, you're expected to be able to be self-sufficient. You're expected to be able to take care of yourself. You're expected to be able to provide a roof over your own head, to feed yourself, to clothe yourself, to provide for yourself. And what happens is when you realize that no one's coming to save you, when you realize that the whole thing is falling on you, um, if you're not prepared, right, and if it came up on you really quick, meaning if you feel like 30 just hit you all of a sudden at once, then you, it's a very depressing feeling because you don't have the means to sustain yourself. And that, that could mean different things for different people depending on who you are. um, as a man, I can only speak from the male perspective, but as a man, in most societies, the men are expected to provide. The men are expected to lead the household financially, and that's one of the key indicators that you're ready to move into the next phase of life, um, by starting a family, finding a partner that you can live with, raising children. But a lot of that requires the ability to not only sustain yourself, but for you to sustain others. And it's unfortunate, but in today's society, a lot of 30-year-olds are finding it very difficult to sustain themselves, let alone try and sustain anyone else. And a lot of that comes from not taking the time to prepare yourself in your 20s, and not taking the time to learn yourself and learn how to navigate life so that you can be a productive adult and a productive individual moving forward, into your 30s and 40s and 50s. And so, it's unfortunate, but we do have a generation now that looks at being 30 as the end of the road, when in fact, turning 30 really should be the most exciting time of your life, because this is the time of your life where you have full autonomy, or you should have full autonomy. A lot of people think that they've reached autonomy when they've turned 18, because they can now drink or smoke or stay out late or whatever the case may be. But that's not really true autonomy. True autonomy is the ability for you to do what you want to do uninhibited by financial restrictions to a certain degree, right? And you have the means to do what you want to do. Anyone can do what they want to do theoretically, but a lot of people can't do what they want to do because they don't have the means to do what they want to do. And if you've taken the proper steps, between your teens, your 20s, and then going into your 30s, you should, if you've done the right things, if you've put in the work, if you've learned about yourself, if you've learned about the world around you, and if you've learned how you interact with the world around you and how to be your most productive self, by the time you do hit 30, you should be able to reasonably do what you want to do, and not just say it, not just say that you can do what you want to do, but actually have the ability rather to do what it is that you want to do. It's funny, somebody yesterday called me the thought collector. I sure am, right? I am the thought collector. And this is a big thought that I had, about turning 30, because I keep seeing these videos on YouTube where people are talking about they're 30 and now their life is over. And I think that in the gaming community, you probably don't see that as much, because a lot of dudes who are retro gamers are probably, men and women who have taken the steps to, and I don't want to assume here, right? But you probably fall into one of a few categories. Perhaps you've taken the steps to prepare yourself for life. You've grown up, you met your partner, you've started a family, and now retro games has become a way for you to reach back to that childhood, and a way for you to experience nostalgia. Then there are also probably some individuals who never, you know, moved forward in life. Maybe you've had a failure to launch, so to speak, and you're still living in mom's basement, and you have all the PlayStation and N64 games in the world, but you don't have any meaningful relationships. You don't have a life partner. You haven't started a family, and maybe that's not something you want. Maybe video games is all you want. I guess the purpose of this video, though, is to just say that you can avoid, if you're, and this is probably more so for everyone who's under 30, but you can avoid those feelings of depression by taking the right steps in your teens and 20s, to prepare yourself. And it doesn't mean living a boring life. It doesn't mean not having fun. It doesn't mean not going out. It doesn't mean not dating. It doesn't mean not partying, but it means having a balance in your life, and balancing your time appropriately, so that, and recognizing moments when you need to act with urgency, um, recognizing life moments that you can learn from and use as life experience to propel yourself forward, and also building and fostering the necessary relationships, because life is in large part based on the relationships that you build, because networking is everything. There's a saying, right? It's not what you know, it's who you know. And if you've taken the time to foster those relationships, gain those life experiences, turning 30 will be a lot more exciting than it will be depressing. And not sure why I popped up this morning and wanted to drop this video, but hopefully someone who is turning 30, or maybe you've already turned 30, and you're still kind of in that state of like, man, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what to do with my life. I spend a lot of my time playing video games, but outside of that, I don't have anything else. I don't do anything else. Perhaps it's time for you to kind of get that balance. Maybe turn the games off for a weekend and go outside, go do something, go network, go socialize. Or if you're not where you want to be financially, perhaps turn the games off, go online, start searching opportunities to make money, find a side hustle, maybe find a way to elevate in your career, look for a promotion, to do something more, figure out a way to impress your boss if you're into climbing the corporate ladder. If not, and you want to be your own boss, there's plenty of ways of doing it in 2020, 2024. There's so many ways to make money physically, virtually. Start a YouTube channel, build a platform. I'm thankful that I have this platform to where I can communicate a message like this to nearly 5,000 subscribers, right? Which is not a lot, but that's 5,000 people. If you gathered 5,000 people into a room, you would see that's a lot of people. And so if you're a person, even if you have 500 subscribers or 250 subscribers, try gathering 250 people in a room and you'll see how many people that is physically. It's a lot of people. So again, not sure who this was for. Somebody did call me the thought collector yesterday, and this is a thought that I thought was worth getting out. So yeah, today the plan is to just finish with all of this cleanup and stuff. That's the plan today, to finally knock all this out. I know that there's a store near me that took in a bunch of trade-ins and they took in a bunch of GameCube trade-ins, because yesterday I was able to get this copy of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for free on the GameCube. And yes, it is complete in box from my local GameStop. So I don't know how many other GameCube games they took in, but I know that they've got some really good retro stuff coming in off trade hold. And I've been finding a lot of underpriced stuff at GameCube. I mean, I guess free isn't underpriced, it's free. But I was able to get like some Metal Gear Solid games the other day. Metal Gear Solid 2, Metal Gear Solid 3, $9.99. These are like $35 games. So this is definitely underpriced. Brotherhood of Steel, this Fallout game, which everybody told me it's because of the Fallout TV show, which is why these have, the Fallout games have jumped up. But everyone's called this game the black sheep of the Fallout series. It looks decent to me. It's like a top-down shooter, like a top-down twin-stick shooter. I played it a little bit. Seems fine. I haven't played a lot of the other Fallout games too deep. They seem like first person kind of like style games. I don't know. That's not really my cup of tea, but it is what it is. We'll see what happens later on today. But that does it for me. It's the Y2K Collector. I'll be back with another video this afternoon. Hopefully you all enjoy the day. Talk to you soon.